What is up, gents and gal? Great Night Dude here. We're going to be doing a full review, part 4 series, 4-part series of the entire Codex. So we're starting off. I did a bunch of videos. I just needed a better intro because I was so tired. I did like so many videos the other day, and I was like, I really need to have a more exciting opening. So there you go. But we're going to go over Brotherhoods in the first video, which is the one you guys just clicked on. And then we're going to be going over a lot of the strats. That one's going to be a longer video because there's so many different stratagems as well as ways to implement them and kind of strategies to actually do them. Then we're going to go over the relics. We're going to go over all the psychic powers, the warlord traits, the litanies I'm still kind of new with. So we're not going to really harp on the litanies. And let me know if you use the chaplain, because I used one game with him before the new book came out, and he was cool back then. Now he's like, maybe. And then finally, the last video we're going to be doing is every single unit in the book and kind of what we used so far, what we liked, what we didn't like, what could have been improved. Hopefully we get a fact that might improve some other people, but who the hell knows. And then that's where we're going to wrap it up. So we have 3 videos already recorded. The 4th one is going to be coming up after the 3rd one is posted, so stay tuned for that. And if you guys aren't subscribed, these videos won't pop up for you, not all the time. And once we get up to 1,000 subs, we'll be able to do live streams, which I'm super excited about doing. But guys, check it out. Let me know what you guys think. I know there's a lot of stuff that you've probably seen or heard of before that you can definitely help me out with, and then we'll do a video on it. So guys, I appreciate you. Enjoyed the video. It's going to cut right into me talking about the Brotherhood, so enjoy. I've gotten about 15 games in with the new Codex so far. I'm really liking it. There's a bunch of different ways you can run a similar list that is still going to perform very well. But for this, we're trying up a new setup. So I kind of got my camera set up here. We got this set up here. So we're going to go over the book so you guys can actually see what the hell I'm flipping through. And it's going to make it a lot easier. So let's get into the video. So here we go. We got the Brotherhoods. Here's the first one. Everybody has been talking about this one since the beginning, the Sword Bearers. Now, I've been playing 1 Grand Master and 3 Dread Knights for a while now. It seems to be like a very, very good list, kind of playing around with the vehicles because they are core, and just being able to increase their damage and their viability to hit. So with the Sword Bearers, the biggest thing is this one and this. I mean, it both helps out. So this one up here is their Mark for Death. It basically, you can use this for any Sword Bearer Psyker. So if you have a 5-man Interceptor squad running up the table and they're within 12 inches of a visible Psyker, which is your guys, you can basically spend 2 CP, and then until the end of the phase, each time the friendly Sword Bearer unit makes a range attack against the enemy, add 1 to the attack hit roll. So basically, friendly Sword Bearers unit. So this is literally anybody. This helps out with the entire army. So if you have strike squads trying to hit somebody, if you have interceptor squads trying to hit somebody, or if you have your Sword Bearer vehicles trying to hit somebody, you basically just add 1 to the hit roll. This is good for flyers. This is good for people in cover. This is good for people in like dense terrain. Or if you're facing anybody that has a -1 to hit variant, you basically just spend CP and ignores that. So pretty cool strat. I actually used this once against Dark Eldar that have the -1 to hit against their vehicles. So this helped out. I kind of ran up, shot everything into it, blew it up, so it was pretty cool. It's 2 CP, which is pretty expensive in this game, especially when you only start with 8 to 10 in your army. So spending 2 CP for that, it's got to be a very viable unit that you need to die. So that's the one thing. Then the Psychic Power, this could, again, be used for anybody. Lodestone. So it's a range 18, Warp Charge 7, which is pretty high. Until the start of your next Psychic phase, each time a friendly Sword Bearer vehicle, which is your Grey Knights, Dread Knights, makes an attack, range attack against an enemy unit, add 1 to the wound rule. So basically we have +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and then if you bring in Peric Amplification, it's +1 damage. So basically your Sword Bearer units or your vehicles are just dominating whatever they're trying to shoot at. So add 1 to the wound rule. This works range attacks. So only range attacks, not against melee, which would be really good. But a unit can be selected for the Psychic Power once per phase. So anybody can be casting this. Range 18 spell. So any little 5-man unit could literally just run up and cast this for you and add +1 to the range. So this is cheeky. This is cool because if you're trying to wound a toughness 8 vehicle or toughness 8 monster or even toughness 7 monster, uh, it's a lot easier to get the wounds off, especially with your um, uh, silencers. So they're strength 5, wounding on 5s most of the time. Now they wound on 4s. And if you spend 1 CP on the psychic one to increase their strength, they're now strength 6. So sometimes you're wounding on 4s now it goes down to 3s with an AP -2. Very good. If you put psychic amplification on that unit, they're now doing 2 damage on their silencers. So this combo is very, very, very good with 3 Dread Knights and the Nemesis Grandmaster. Now down here, the Warlord trait, Rights of Protection, Psychic Action, War Charger 5, attempt to form Psychic Action, Sword Bearer's vehicle model. So this gives us a 4-up invuln. So if you want to bring this on your Warlord and you have, let's say, a Land Raider or a flyer like the Storm Raven, I would definitely test this out and put it in your list, because sometimes my Grandmaster doesn't need both of his Warlord traits. So you can definitely sub one of them out and actually bring in that Warlord trait, or put a Warlord trait on one of your characters and they can actually bring this power with them. So it's good. It's just only specific to the list. Most of the time you're not going to see a Land Raider or a Storm Raven flying around in most of the list. Maybe recently I will run that, but that is not going to be used that often. These two though, it's situational, but definitely adds to the firepower of your Dread Knights, which they already shoot really freaking good. Now this one over here, Blades of Victory, let's get into. I've only run the Sword Bearers, Rapiers, and I think Preservers. So these other ones are going to be kind of new, but let's get into it. So first one, we have the Radiant Strike, which is 1 CP. Grey Knight Core Infantry unit in your army finishes a charge move. Select one enemy unit with engagement range. Roll d6 for... Okay, so I did use this in one of the... No. D6 for each model, Blades of Victory. Use your ranged enemy unit for each dice roll results of the toughness suffers 1 mortal wound. So I didn't run this one, I ran another one. So this is basically when you're in combat, you spend 1 CP, select one enemy unit within engagement range of your Blades of Victory unit, roll a d6 for each model in the Blades of Victory unit that is in engagement range. So it's only in engagement range. So like if you have a blob of 30-man boys, it's not really going to do anything to them. It only works with the engagement range. So let me show you that in. Okay. So it's not the best. And toughness, I mean, if you're facing toughness 3 models, it might work. And if they only have 1 wound, it might work, but not the best. Then this psychic power, it's a blessing. Warp charge of 6. If manifested until the start of your next psychic phase, you may reroll charge rolls made for this psychic unit. So this could be for literally anybody in your Brotherhood. So this is pretty cool that they brought this back, that you can reroll charge rolls. So if you have an all infantry or just all melee army, it could be good. And then the Warlord trait, after deployment, you can select one friendly Blades core unit within 9 inches of this Warlord, then can make a normal move of the 6 inches. That's actually pretty cool. So imagine putting this on your Interceptor squad. So now they're basically starting an extra 6 inches up the table. This works for Dread Knights. Yep, core unit. So this could be a Dread Knight walking 6 inches up the table. Yeah, it's not bad. So this just seems like very, very aggressive infantry type Brotherhood, because they want to be in the combat to do mortal wounds. They want to reroll their charges. So with the one tide we have, it's a minimum 6 inches. So you're turning your 1s and 2s into 3s. That actually is pretty good. So using that tide with this Brotherhood will be very, very good. That's why it's got wings, because they're super fast. So that's cool. After deployment, you can select one friendly core unit within 9 inches of the Warlord. This was all right. So it only happens once in your thing. It'd be cool if it was like once per turn. You can move somebody an extra 6 inches. That would be really cool. Now what do we got? We got Ward Makers, Masters of the Ward. 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your command phase. Select a character unit from your army. Select one psychic power from the Dominus discipline. That model does not know and replace the psychic power. So basically, you're subbing out a psychic power for the Dominus discipline. Psychic power, projection of purity. Malediction, project a purity, has a warp charge of 6 if manifested. Select one enemy unit within 12 inches of the psyker until the start of the next psychic phase. That unit is not affected by the aura abilities. So this I've never wanted or even thought about using in any of my games. Most of the time, the aura abilities, mainly Nurgle, you kind of want to stay away from and just shoot the shit out of them and blow them up with mortal wounds. But this is very, very situational if you want to use it for like a Nurgle or a Space Marine dude. It's only range of 12 though. Very short range. Probably not going to be used that much. Each time a psychic test is taken in the Warlord, as a result of the test, unmodified roll of 8. It'd be great if we still had the +1. Cannot attempt to deny. Again, situational. You'd have to roll an 8+ to do it. And it's only on your Warlord. So let's just skip over the Word Makers. Probably not going to be seeing that a lot. Now we have the Present Brethren. Foresight, 1 CP. The Present Brethren Psyker unit in your army is selected to shoot, or in the fight phase, when an army fights until the end of the phase, each time the model in the unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1. So that's pretty cool. 1 CP, it basically just has a Grandmaster standing right next to you, but you also get to reroll the wound rolls of 1, which is good. Now question, it says a wound roll of 1, not wound roll of 1. So basically, am I re-rolling all the wound roll of 1? We have to actually look that up. Okay, so it says it here too. The Grandmaster Aura ability. Each time a unit makes an attack, re-roll a wound roll of 1. So it's basically all of them. It's not a wound roll, it's all of the wound rolls of 1. So that's not bad. It's basically just like if they're off in the distance and they want to spend 1 CP, they get to either do this in the fighting phase or the shooting phase. So this isn't a bad CP to have on everybody. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Fatal Precognition, Malediction. Fatal Precognition is a warp charge of 5. Select one enemy unit within 12 inches of Psyker until the start of the next psych phase. Each time the enemy unit moves. This is good. I've been thinking about this since it came out, but just being able to put it on a unit anytime they move, advance, fall back, or make a charge move, you roll d6 on a 4 or 5, they suffer d3 mortal wounds. On a 6, they suffer 3 mortal wounds. So basically, like, if they move, d3 mortal wounds, or roll 4 or 5. If they advance, roll again. If they charge you, roll again. If they want to fall back, roll again. So basically, you're rolling it multiple times on that one unit. So this is pretty cool, coming down from Deep Strike, putting it on somebody, or if you move up your interceptor squad, they can then just kind of throw it on somebody within 12 inches and then just kind of, shoot them. But that is good if you don't want somebody kind of like a unit, like a Terminators, to kind of move up and then charge you, because then you'd be able to kill at least 1 to 2 of them before they even get to you. But it's very situational. It's a 50-50 chance of actually proccing, because you need a 4, 5, or 6 to do that. So then the Warlord trait, Divination. If the Warlord is your trait, you can attempt to perform the following action. So this gets you 1 CP back. Again, this is probably another one that you're going to see. Maybe somebody running a Inquisitor, or bringing in just a character and making them their Warlord to kind of do that power. So it's a psychic action. So you can only do it 1 psychic power. You need a 6 to do it as well, and you get 1 CP back. So this is actually a pretty good one if you want to kind of like be a defensive type, getting a lot of CPs, and if you want to kind of like have them suffer movement abilities. Even Ghostly Bonds would be good. So putting Ghostly Bonds on somebody and then putting this on another person. So Ghostly Bonds halves their movement speed, and then this put on another unit, and now they're getting mortal wounds anytime they move. So basically 1 unit mortal wounds, 1 unit can't move. They move half, which is pretty cool. So yeah, the Present Brethren is actually a pretty good Brethren. Let's get into Preservers. I tested this out. I'm probably going to be running it again. But Dreadnought, you get to upgrade a Dreadnought in it. So I actually did this. I didn't use the Dreadnought to the best advantage. I was in my Sisters of Battle video if you want to check that out. So Preservers, you get to move their characteristic to 8. You get to reroll charge rolls. And each time the model fights, makes a charge, move this turn until the fight is resolved, add 1 to the damage characteristic. This Dreadnought is insane in melee. So you want to get him in melee, have a close combat weapon on him, and he's going to be destroying whoever he attacks. You can use this stratagem once unless you're playing Onslaught. All right, so basically, pretty cool for 1 CP. So if you don't want to bring Dreadnought, you don't have to use the CP, so ignore that, and then get down to the Psychic Power. This is situational. I think I'm going to test it out one more time. But you have to cast it on, it's a blessing, so it has to be that unit casting it. So you put on a squad of Terminators, or you can't use Paladins, so that kind of sucks. But on the Psychers, unit loses a wound roll. On a D6, 6, the wound roll is not lost. So basically, if you don't have an Apothecary by you, you get a 6-up, feel no pain. If you do have an Apothecary by you within 3 inches, it is now a 5-up, feel no pain. So basically, 33% of your wounds. Hopefully you'll be able to save some of them and save your Terminators. And then if you bring an Apothecary, you can actually spend 1 CP and bring 1 Terminator back each turn with full wounds. So that's kind of like the combo there, is I really want to test out them surviving, putting Sanctuary on them so they have a 4-up invuln, and then they have this, which they can do that. Maybe you can spend 1 more CP to give them Hammerhand as well so they can cast 2 powers. That's a question. Do you think they can do that, right? So they can do this on themselves and then spend 1 CP to cast Hammerhand on themselves, so that way they can reroll all the wounds. They can charge in, and then they're 5-up, feel no pain. So they're really, really tough. 4-up invuln, 5-up, feel no pain. Seems pretty good. Yeah, not bad. And then the Warlord trait, add 3 inches to the Warlord's aura abilities. So maybe if you make you spend 1 CP to put the this on your Apothecary, now it has a 6-up, 6-inch range, feel no pain. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so you can add that to your Apothecary, or your Grandmaster, or your Brother Captain, to have now a 9-inch reroll 1s to wound. So this Terminator squad would be insane in combat. So basically you bring in a Brother Captain, Drago, Apothecary, Banner, kind of like as a little squad walking up. So they have a 4-up, feel no pain. They reroll 1s to hit. They in shooting, they reroll all hits if you want to spend 1 CP for Hammerhand. Drago can put reroll everything on that unit, so they literally reroll everything. They get +1 attack because of the Banner, and then they also get to reroll wounds of 1 because of the Captain. And if you want to bring a Chaplain as well, just go crazy, which I don't think you can. That's too many HQ units. This Terminator unit would be insane in combat. So that's what I want to test out. That's going to be the next video we're making, is going to run a Preserver kind of army. Now Rapiers is what everybody's running. I haven't tested. I tested out once, and it was not bad. So this is going to be what a lot of people are going to be running, especially with the 10-man Interceptor squads and the just the Strike squads having it. Purifiers can't take this. Paladins can't take this. But Terminators can take this. Basically anybody in the Brotherhood. Now let's go with 1 CP. I'll use stratagem in your fight phase. When the Rapier's unit in your army is selected to fight, until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit rolls a unmodified roll of 6, add an additional hit. So it's kind of the same thing. If you want to do the 5-up feel no pain with the Terminators, you can. But if you just put them in Rapiers, they basically explode on 6s for 1 CP. They reroll everything still with Drago. They get to reroll 1s to wound with their Brother Captain, and they get an additional hit. So 4 attacks on the charge with the Banner, with your Terminators, and then exploding 6s, and reroll everything. So that's probably a lot. So again, Rapiers is hard to compete with just because it's so good. Now Symphonic Strike, you can cast this instead of getting the 5-up feel no pain. You can put this on the Terminators. You basically just add 1 to the attack characteristic. So now they're charging in at 5 attacks. That's basically 50 attacks coming in from your 10-man squad. If they're all swords or if they're all halberds, basically strength 6, 2 damage, AP2, exploding sixes. You're just gonna destroy whatever they get into combat with. This warlord is eligible to declare a charge with even if it is advanced this turn. So if you have like a brother captain, you don't really care about him shooting, you kind of walk him up, run him, or advance him, and then still charge to get kind of fast. And if you have first to the fray on your brother captain, then he's able to kind of get an extra inch to charges, as well as your Terminator squad that's probably going to be charging the same unit as well also gets +1 inches. So this, having it on the Warlord, not bad. It's just you're probably going to want the Obsect one or the Righteous Anvil to kind of get +1 to wound. But still, Rapiers is very hard to compete with just because of how many attacks you're going to be getting in your melee. So then we got Exactors. Exactors, let's go over them. 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your heroic intervention step, the opponent's charge phase. Select one unit from the army that is not within engagement range of the enemy units until the end of the phase. Then you can perform. So this is the one I tried. This is the one I tried in the tournament. And if you're playing a good opponent, this works for literally anybody in your army. You can then heroic intervene for 1 CP. Now, if you're playing a smart opponent, he's just going to stay out of 3 inches of that person or that unit, and you're not going to be able to heroic intervene. It's hard to heroic intervene Dread Knights just because their bases are so big and they can't, fit around vehicles or terrain that much. So they basically have to like kind of rotate and get around, and they have to get in a position, which is very hard. So I've been running the 3 Dread Knights. So this one wasn't the best. It was cool to try out. Maybe if I run just a shit ton of units, then it might be better to do. But yeah, it was kind of hard to pull off. And then this one I didn't even get to cast. So most of the time, if I get charged or they charge, everybody just dies in melee anyway. Nobody survives. But this one is Warp Charger 5. Select one enemy unit with engagement range. So it's basically the whole unit. Roll d6 for each model in that unit. It's not in engagement range, it's just in the unit, which is what's different from that other one. On a 4-up, so basically 50-50 shot, to suffer 1 mortal wound for each model in that unit. So a squad of 30 boys, you're rolling 30 dice, 50% chance they do 15 mortal wounds to that unit. If the Psyker manifests this power with the Psychic Epitome Warlord trait, the enemy unit suffers 1 additional mortal wound after all these dice rolls have been made. Each unit in that can only be selected by Psych Power once per turn. So basically any model that you have getting into combat can then do this. So it works on your Dread Knights, it works on the squads. So like I said, this is pretty cool to have. So you have basically a stratagem that can heroic intervene, so it makes your opponent think, anybody in the entire army, and using the switch fire on mass infantry. Even just a squad of 5, like you roll 5 dice, you get 2 or 3 mortal wounds on that unit just for free. But then you're thinking like this is competing with Smite. So Smite also gets D3 mortal wounds with the same Witchfire. So it's like good for mass infantry, not so good comparing it to Smite for like a 5-man unit. But hey, you might roll 5 4-ups and then 5 mortal wounds. So then the Warlord trait is an aura. Add 1 to the Warlord's leadership characteristics while in 6 inches of the Warlord. Morale tests automatically pass. So that's, again, situational. So if you're running 10-man units, this might be good to have. So yeah, not bad. Just hard to compete with other ones. So if you know you're facing a horde army, bring these guys, Exactors. So Silver Blades, pretty cool logo. Actually, a really, really cool logo. So Silver Blades, adaptation, excoriation. Yes. Silver Blades, stratagem 1 CP. Use stratagem in your movement phase when a Silver Blades unit in your army falls back. That unit is still eligible to shoot this turn even though it fell back. So it doesn't say you can charge, it just says you can shoot. So we do have a 1 CPM on a teleporter unit, but this works for any core unit. So you're able to still fall back and shoot, but you cannot charge, which kind of sucks. Yeah, not the best. Then Psychic Power, Blessing, Accuracy, has a Warp charge of 5 until the start of your next psychic phase. All Storm Bolters. Gotcha. So this turns them into pistols. So pistol 4, pretty cool. in combat. So use this on anybody. You can then shoot in combat. So if you have like a big man or a big squad, even just a squad of 5 interceptor squads, casting this, you can then turn your pistols into 4, range characteristic 12. So basically, again, if you're in combat, you can then shoot your pistols. Yeah, so situational. Then the Warlord trait. At the start of your fight phase, if the Warlord is in engagement range of enemy units that can fight first this phase, at the start of the fight phase, if this Warlord is within engagement range of any enemy units, it can fight first this phase. That's cool. So basically, they charge in, they get to fight, and then you get to fight next because you're fighting first. Each time the Warlord makes a melee attack, you can reroll a hit roll. You can reroll the hit roll. So really beastly Warlord trait. But that's about it. These other things are situational, not the best. But yeah, that's the Silver Blades. So there is the Brotherhoods. Again, I would say my favorite is the Silver Blades. Obviously, another good mention is the Word Makers. No. I think it was these, the 4, 5, or 6. This one, the Prescient. Get to reroll the wound and hit rolls, and you get to put it on a unit within 12, only on a 5 up, and they suffer D3 mortal wounds every time they move. And you get a CP. So this one you're going to see quite often just for the extra CP. Preservers I kind of like, but again, only if you're going to be running the Apothecary. I wouldn't really be running this if I didn't bring an Apothecary. I don't really care about the 6-up Feel No Pain. It's not going to really proc that much. But again, the 5-up Feel No Pain on a 10-man Terminator squad, or even it's not going to work on the Paladins, but at least a 10-man Terminator squad, it's going to come in pretty handy. Rapiers, obviously, probably top 2 in the Brotherhood, if not top 1 that you're going to be seeing a lot. A lot of people are combat squatting or doing 2 attachments to bring like 30 interceptors in the rapiers, and also bringing in 3 Dread Knights with the Sword Brothers. So that's a good combo. And then we have the Exactors. Again, I do like this one. This has the Heroic Intervene and then the Witchfire for the Hordes. So I do like this one. And then Silver Blades just for the pistols. That's about it. So again, Exactors, Rapiers, Preservers if you have an Apothecary, and obviously we have the Sword Bearers if you're running the Dread Knights and any Lane Raiders or Storm Ravens. So that's the Brotherhood, guys. What do you guys think? What are your favorites? Which one are you running? Which ones are you trying out? Was one of the ones that I didn't like, is that the one that you're looking at like, dude, you're crazy, this is definitely OP? Have you tried them out? Because they might look good on paper, but when I tried out the Preservers Dreadnought, I got to play it again because I really want to try it out again because I have a Dreadnought fully painted, multi-melta with the combat fist. You want to get him to combat to just kill whatever the hell he is. And the Exactors, tried it out in a tournament, didn't use it once, but I'm sure if I try it again and kind of use a different list, it might work out. So again, let me know what you guys think. This is one of 5-part series. We're going to keep going with the Codex, and I think what's coming up next is going to be the relics as well as the special new things with the Gem of Noctu and all that stuff added into the book. So guys, appreciate it. Let me know in the comments. Join the Discord if you haven't already. It's in the link below, and we will see you in the next video.